Peace and blessings, y'all. This is your boy Gerald. It is the 2nd of December, 2016. How is everybody doing? Yep, I'm right up here right now because this morning I needed to set the record straight. Burning some Japanese cedar, which is also a spiritual, blessed plant, but you break it down to the herb. It's good for keeping those spirits at bay. I'm here this morning because I wanted to set the record straight because I feel in a certain kind of way, y'all. And after I released the video, I thought about it. You know, we live in a world where sometimes you only get one opportunity. And unfortunately, when people do not invest, they will take that perception and run with it. That's why we always hear the term first impressions are lasting impressions. But the problem with that is, for some, you may be looking at your blessing. For others, it may end up manifesting into a lesson because there was something that came with that revelation that you were needed to understand. So I'm going to elaborate on some things, and then I'm going to cut this camera off. You know, as I echoed before, you are a spiritual being first, and you live on an earthly realm. Therefore, you require a physical body to move around it. And the one thing that I did not reveal to you is that lately I've been having these epiphanies, we shall say. And I've been seeing things that have been quite stark. And last night, I had another one. And I don't know if this video is for the person that I saw, or maybe this for somebody that knows somebody, because it's a message. See, because you're exposed in your environment, you take it in, you are either by visual, by audio, or physically, your environment has a effect that stimulates your brain. Depending on how in tune you are with yourself, can you understand your discernment? Who am I talking to? And last night, I was teetering in the midst of drifting into a nap. And the news was on. And as I was watching the news, I focused on the voice and did not realize that I was entering what we know is REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement, which is that sleep that may be very short, but it seems very refreshing. And I saw myself as if I was looking through a peephole. And in that peephole, which the sides were blocked out, I saw someone's hair follicles. And, kind of like a pan shot, like. And at first I saw this hair. And it was flipped up, kind of like a Farrah Fawcett kind of way. And it was a black person. And then I started to see the tone. And it was kind of caramelish, bronzish kind of. So I knew that that person was melanated. And as the view was coming down, I saw the eyebrows. And they were, what y'all call it? Not structured, but it was not, well, they had been, okay, I'll just use the term draw it on because I don't know the term that women use, but they were sculpted. That's it, sculpted. And as I got here, I saw these brown eyes. Now, mind you, I'm taking this in by this view. And I see this nose. And I'm looking at, okay, there is this person that it looks like. At first, I thought it was kind of like, they were kind of Beyonce-ish because they, how they have that typical look. And they passed. They, like they could have been related to it. And as the view is going past the mouth, okay, it looks kind of Beyonce-ish until I got the ball right here. And there was hair on this person's chin, which cognitively, that's a man. And then the face, the mouth smirked like, you see me. And it woke me right up out of my sleep. I hadn't felt fear like that ever since I was a child. And it wasn't one of those things where you could say, well, you know what, you were watching TV or you were on your laptop or there was some type of trigger, maybe something in your day. No. Couldn't claim that. Don't know where that came from. So the phone rang and there was someone on the other end, and I talked to him and said, hey, you won't believe what I just saw. And I was explaining exactly what I saw. And they were like, perhaps this is a person that has idolizes her. And then as we were talking, I said, yeah, because you do have a lot of men that are in the makeup business, that there are men out there that can do makeup and hair better than some of the women. But I couldn't understand why I was seeing that. What was the reason why it was that person focus was in my dream, that moment. It was like unlocking a doorway, and they were focusing, and I was able to focus back, and there was a contact there. So you know, Gerald went right up into them prayers. Because see, I know the devil's work is not done, y'all. This brings me back to this video right now because I'm gonna let this mouth go. I'm gonna try to be very PC, but I've got to let my truth be spoken as it is in me. Now, let me go ahead and pump your brakes real quick because I place God first in everything I do. I am a spiritual man. Therefore, I'm all alpha. There is no gray area here because I know how it was written. Even though our world is being, you do understand what is going on right now in our society, in the world. Well, you already know right off the bat it's a spiritual warfare going on. But what else is being fought for is your focus. Giving a voice to what makes you tick, what you find as your passions, who you really are from a spiritual point of reference. So now what's going on? You are in the midst of a battle of duality. Who am I talking to? From some, you may just understand it as, well, you know, the world is getting dark. Compassion is being ciphered out and replaced by greed, gluttony, by resentment and condemnation. Pride and ego is trying so hard to latch its placement down. That is why, as a collective, we are divided. So I got to throw this out right now. Because I know there's somebody that is, you waiting on this. You've been waiting on this for a minute. And I hope that I reach your heart, your mind, because your spirit is already blessed, but you gotta, before you can see it, you gotta claim it. And what is faith? Faith is believing in the things that are not seen but felt. The real you. So what's going on, y'all? Because I know that right now you got a lot of people think that the devil is winning. They're glamorizing. They're like, you know what? We're gonna hit you so hard. We're gonna hit you so hard in the mouth. You can't do it. Every time you turn around, we're gonna have an influence right there waiting on you. It's just a matter of time you're gonna break. But guess what? When you got faith that is strong, it don't break. It transforms. It sidesteps. It adapts. Why? Because God's in front of it all. Who am I talking to? So let me throw the disclaimer out right now. See, the last thing I want for anybody, when you get this video, when you see it, I don't want you to ever think, well, you know what? Joe looks pretty nervous these days. I don't fear no one. I fear God. Period. Some might think this is being fanatical. No, it ain't. I love God that much. And I know the fact that our lives, you're not promised to see tomorrow. That's why you're supposed to be the best example today. But see, I understand that that's easier said than done too, because some of y'all, you've been running all your life because that's all you know. You've been picking up the breadcrumbs when you should have been sitting at the table and having the feast. And I can't blame you because you're going off of the environment that you were raised in. You've been convinced, well, you know, if they do it, it must be right. Only to find out that they were the distraction, you were the pawn, and the price that had to be paid out were paid by your emotional stability. Who am I talking to? Does it surprise you that there are people that look just like you that do not want you to be happy? Some are so bold and brazen, they will try to come into your life just like a thief does and wait you out. Wait for the opportune moment to prey upon you. Why? Because they're afraid of who you're going to become. They're afraid of that truth that is inside you. They don't want it to come out. So they got to keep you distracted. They got to keep you influenced. They don't want to inspire you. They want to deplete you. And that's the problem we have worldwide. Because you might not realize you might be the life battery for someone else. And maybe that's the reason why you're feeling like you're doing time in your mind. They basically are ripping you off from the inside out. Sure, they'll give you a little bit to get more from you. They'll do that. But when it comes to ownership, when it comes to truth, when it comes to accountability, they're nowhere around. Do you not see that? Why is it when you fall down and proverbially scrape your knee, they're not there to support you? It's because the whole plan was to get you down so they can walk all over you. Who am I talking to? Meanwhile, you feel a certain kind of way because it was all good yesterday. It was like peaches and cream. You thought you had chemistry. You didn't have chemistry. That wasn't chemistry. That was manipulation. That's why it was celebrated. Don't tell nobody. This between me and you. You don't want them to feel a certain way. We got to keep it under wraps. What's done in the dark comes to the light. You know why it comes to the light? Or better yet, you know why it's in the dark? Because they're using you as the battery. You the smoke screen. If everybody's focusing on what you ain't doing, they damn sure ain't going to look at what's going on in front of them right now. Who am I talking to? So this is where I throw the disclaimer out. This is where I put the caveat in. Because I know there's plenty of people. They hear what I'm saying. And they do what they want. I don't care. Because your life is the living water. Some of y'all will get that. That's why nothing I do is pre-rehearsed, scripted, because it comes from my heart. You can't and that's the beautiful thing about it, because as long as you're putting God first in everything you do, In the intended time, energy put out is energy returned. I hear and see my stuff everywhere. But I'm glad there's no ego in me. But I'm not deaf. I'm surely not dumb. And I'm not blind. Even though I know there are plenty of people that wish that that was the case. Don't you realize the more and more, the closer you get to God, the more and more you evolve? Clarity that you dreamt about is within your possession. And oh, let me throw this out here. Hold on. Because what you don't see is, see, Mr. Tyson is right over here. And you know I've got that candle lit. And I don't feel like taking him to the hospital because he burned up his fur. Tyson, go get in your kennel. Let's go. See, look, there he is. Go get in the kennel. Go. 75 pounds of love, unconditional. Be back, y'all. Let me lock this kennel. So we living in an environment where price tags are being placed at, and given by the lowest bidder, only to corrupt and compromise who you are, only to leave you hollow, to feel numb, to feel frozen. Why you think you feeling those things? Especially if it's negative. It's because your heart, which is connected to your spirit, which is connected to that beautiful mind, is telling you what you lack. How about what you needed the whole time? But you got a lot of people that like to sleep with the enemy. But here's the kicker. The enemy doesn't come with a label. The enemy may be living inside you. They may be your vices, might be your addictions, and the effects of it make your reality. Who am I talking to? See, we can sit up here and play the victim card all day. And guess what? The things that you should be focusing on, they're still out there. Because the work ain't being done. Your feet that should have a foundation under it really has a shackle. And the shackle makes the links, known as fear. What you got to lose? You already know what's going on in your day-to-day. So why won't you invest in you? I know, because it takes courage to do something different. Let me tell you something. No matter what he tells you, you're not for sale. No matter how she makes you feel, you can't be bought. You will never be able to thirst. You will never be able to quench that thirst. You know, that living water. You can't replenish it until you get to know self. But I understand this is not shade, y'all. This is not shade. This is straight love because some of y'all are being disenfranchised and you can't wake up from it. Or you think you can't, but maybe your eyes are already open. Maybe this is time that you need to close your mouth, open your mind, and allow what has been evident, what has been repetitive, let those puzzle pieces fall. Maybe you don't see the picture yet, but you're getting pieces that fit, and they're giving you snapshots. Who am I talking to? Why are you turning around scratching your head because you don't know where your money was, but yet you remember you put it there? Who am I talking to? You didn't move it. I know I'm talking to somebody now. You even tried to, I'm going to put it over here because I know if I put it right there, only I know, but it's still not there. You ain't crazy. Somebody studied you. Somebody knows your patterns. Somebody's playing human chess with your heart. You can't be a king or a queen until you dominate your life. But if you keep listening to them, they'll run the table on you. And the price will be time. For some, the expense may be your mortality, your youth. What's so wrong with listening to your heart? Yes, I know the scripture says, be wary of the heart because for the heart can be deceived. But the heart can be moved if you decide to have that conversation with you. You know that term called critical thinking? Being able to weigh the pros and cons. If the pros outweigh the cons, shouldn't you be happy? Shouldn't there be potential endlessly? Because that is the seeds that you are cultivating through the process of evolving. But while you are dancing to the beat, the shakedown is going on, known as your life. The investment given over and over and over again. You've been singing the same song and they ain't been listening. Do you not see the sign? If they're there for you, why do you have to say it again? If they're showing you nothing but bad behavior, why are you condoning it? Because they know how to itch. They know how to scratch your itch. Let me tell you something. When you decide to claim your life and stand up, survey where you've been. Lay claim to where you're going. You'll actually be able to gauge what's going on. I told you, Kings, she's not going to be your wife. She's only there for your enjoyment, your entertainment. Until there's nothing left. It could be your time. It could be how I'm trying really hard to be PC. Maybe just the fact that you may think that that's the love of your life, but maybe they look at you as you're just the placeholder. Maybe, okay. But because, see, I understand there's somebody going through something right now. And a funny thing, figuratively, is you trying to outsmart yourself. You are taking your wounds and you have made a conscious decision. So, well, I know that if I see these signs and I make sure that I have a counter to those signs, I should be okay. But you're not gaining anything out of it. You know why you're not gaining anything out of that? Because to see what you need to see, to make movement of that, you got to be truthful. And that's where the fear lies. You got to be able to put that voice behind that obstacle. You know, you always hear people say, well, you know what, Gerald? If I do that, it's going to be World War IX in my where I lay my head, and I can't afford that. I don't want to tip over the apple cart. Yeah, but what if those apples all got worms in it? You ever thought about that? And every moment that you decide not to do that, that is another step or another victory for them. That's why you always hear this. Those who start the game end up being captured by the game, because those who are the player always gets played. Why? They never were the ones that set the rules in play. They overlooked what should have mattered. Why are you second guessing the things that need to be accomplished? Why are you turning to them? What example are they setting? Or maybe they're the ones that you do not even realize are the ones setting you up. Ever thought about that? So the days of making excuses, the days of turning a blind eye, the days of running. You understand why you choosing to run from them? They don't care. They don't care. They prefer it that way. You say, well, why is that, Gerald? Because you just bought them more time. Because if you're not straight, your environment ain't straight. And that gives them ample time to stack the deck on you. Who am I talking to? That's no different than someone saying, well, Gerald, I do want to be in a relationship, but I got a certain type. There's no such thing as a type. Only thing that is consistent is the lesson and how it is displayed. Well, I like my guys, they light skinned and they got to have A, B, C, and D. And every time you go upon that, you pay for it. Because you wrote the check that you couldn't cash. Somebody needs to hear that. Why are you sitting over here upset with somebody that happens to have an opportunity to be in your life and they ain't your husband? And the sad thing of it is, deep down inside, they don't have intentions on being it. They say a man's kryptonite is a man's kryptonite is a woman's smile. But a woman's kryptonite is her truth. Who am I talking to? You do understand, as long as you choose not to claim your truth by speaking your truth, the pain continues. You're not supposed to be spending your days listening to Mary J. Blige and another sad song when you should be smiling. That's not your story. Nor is, well, you know what? You told me if I turn around and if I drop it like this and I suck it in like that and I go do it like this, he'll love me more. Are you serious? Are you serious? Let's play the mirror game, shall we? How can anyone make any I'm tongue-tied. How can anybody say, well, you know what? To have this is what I require. How can people make standards when they're not living the standard? Thank you, Father. I had to wait for it to come. It's like a hypocrite, ain't it? He got you jumping through hoops, when in actuality, he should be running through them. He got you reading that Karma Sutra book like front to back, back to front. But he ain't even the definition of a man. See, listen, you can have the best sex that you'll ever come to know. But to feel love heaven sent by the one takes a process to obtain it. And oh yes, I will say this. And I say this with all sincerity, humility, compassion, and even empathy. The one, that spiritual person, embedded in them, they already know what they need to do to protect your heart. They're the ones that has the key that will unlock the other side of your life. While their sole purpose is to waste it. Who am I talking to? Maybe that's the reason why you don't like to kiss and tell. Ever thought about that? Maybe that's the reason why every time that you say, you know what, I'm gonna marry you, she's like, just another sad song. Listen here. There's no benefit in impulse thinking, but time wasted because you end up repeating, you end up going back where whence you came. See it all the time. You see somebody, they riding high. The next thing you run back into them, or they run into you, they right where you saw them. You don't wish bad on them, but you do hope that they get it one day, that that's not what to do, but there's always a deeper price. There's always a price very deep. That's why scars, emotional scars, are always invisible, but take the most work to heal. Who am I talking to? How can you sit up here and say there's no good men when you know darn well you don't know what love feels like if someone put it in your hand? How can you talk about a future if God ain't in front of it? See, we can turn around and deflect and pass the buck all day. And guess what? You'll still be in the same place you were when you first dropped the first word. We can sit up here and say, well, you know, it was the system. I ain't never seen somebody get beat down by the system. I've never seen that. No, like somebody got the shirt, I got a shirt on, representing this. I'm the system. I'm the system. I'm the man. No, man. Because it goes back to what we already know. Nobody can do anything to you unless you co-sign it. You can't sit up and say this. It just happened. No, it didn't just happen. You contemplated it. You manifested it that way. The action was the outcome. But what blows my mind even more is this. Queens, you need to stop doing this. Well, I went over there with the intentions just to hang out. And then he took advantage of me. He took advantage of you? Okay. Question one. If he took advantage of you, why didn't you call the cops? Why didn't you file a claim? Why didn't you take yourself to the hospital so they can perform a kit? Why didn't you do any of that? See, when I'm not going to sit up here and say that there are not people that prey upon other people, because that happens all the time. There are some evil people in this planet. And there are also people that are what we call lambs. And you can see all the signs there. But because you got blinders on, you don't see that proverbial hatchet. But you feel the effect. How is it in 2016 today, we still have people dealing with date rape? How? How's that possible? Explain that to me, millennials. Because you're all in when it comes to tech now. When it comes to technology, you are the masters of it. But when it comes to your own individuality and emotion, you are the least. So at the end of the day, it comes full circle, right back to where it began. It comes back to you. Listen, was that $400 outfit worth the pain you feeling right now? I'm talking to somebody. Was that time that you put to the side that could have been focused on something that was such of importance worth the outcome? What are they bringing to the table? Or are you being bamboozled because of the sway of her hips? Or are you just falling in line to the tricks that she's come to know? Oh yeah, there are plenty of people out here that know their power in regards to their sexual. You don't think people don't use that? Leaving you shook like, man, I don't understand why she was perfect. She had potential and I wanted her to be the mother of my child. Till you realize that she couldn't give you that, even if you bought it. But if you let them tell it, they'll keep you deaf, dumb, and blind too. So I'm not going to come over here and give y'all excuses. Joe got work to do. 2017 is going to be a big year for me. So is 2018. And don't worry, there'll be plenty of people that you'll come to know. They'll be doing the same thing they've been doing the last 8 years. You know why? They are a living testimony. They're a living testament for you of what not to do. You can't change nobody. You can't make nobody do anything they don't want to do. So why are you entertaining the distraction? Because she knows how to titillate and stimulate you to do what she likes? Because he has a certain status. Statuses change all the time. You can be a millionaire today, and you can be deprived tomorrow. That's why God said it. Those who are last will be made first, and those who are first will be made last. Why? Everything comes full circle. Nobody's untouchable. So that means you're required to look at them wounds. You can't stuff them away because you change the status. Or you said, well, you know what? We'll take a guy. He said, well, you know what? I was knocking them down, bro. I was a town alley cat, but that's all I was known for. So I packed my bags up and I moved far away. Nobody knew me. to start new. But guess what? Your burdens, your fears, them soul ties, all you did was take them with you, only to attract more of the same. You may be thinking, well, Gerald, I don't know how that's possible because look, I'm running with the big dogs. They're going to teach me what to do and how to say it and play my position. Real recognizes real. And they know, people know, they can smell it. They can sense it. And they know an opportunist when they see one. Why? Because we are what we attract. We are what we attract, y'all. And speaking of attraction, I'm gonna tell you something. When you finally give yourself permission, because you can't sleep it away, you can't drink it away, you can't party it away. Ain't enough trips in the world to make you forget. Why? Because that little girl still lives inside you. That little boy still is begging, why won't you come back home to me? Why are we disrespecting ourselves? Why? She ain't gonna never be your wife. She's not good enough. She don't know God. Why are you with her? Because of how that orgasm feels. The number one vice the devil loves to do is to pervert your sexuality and expression. I know that's taboo, but it feels great till them pain come, till them demons like, oh, you thought that you was gonna roll? Thought you was gonna leave without me? Nah, time for you to pay. And you are in the midst of your spiritual storm. And some people don't understand that spiritual seasons are not on the time realm of man. It doesn't matter how much money is in your pocket. It doesn't matter who you lay next to at night. It don't. Because it was you that chose to put the price tag on your soul. That's real talk. I'd rather be broke as a joke and have peace of mind than be wealthy and miserable every day. You might as well be the bird in the bird cage. Even the bird in the bird cage got a great view, but it can never fly. That's why it humbles me every day to behold what is shown. Some things you're going to see you're not going to like. But that's still a blessing because you were at a position in your life that earned the right to see it. Who am I talking to? So if you feel a certain kind of way, just look that person in the mirror and said, I know I deserve better. Why am I mad at him? He's telling me, he's just validating everything I knew. How is it possible? Because guess what? That's what discernment does. You can't find water in a dry creek bed, no matter how much it rains. That's why when you want to act like the bull on the hill. The bull on the hill is always by itself till it's time for them to come and cut its balls off. And there are people falling left and right because they're too busy looking for the validation. Your greatest gift you're going to ever have is inside you. So why are you allowing them to be in your ear? Did they earn the right to know your middle name? Did they earn the right to have the time? How about sitting in the darkness in the wee hours to just talk? Did they earn the right to know what it felt like to hold your hand? Did they earn the right to let the words fall from their lips out of pure compassion? To say the words, I love you. See, when someone genuinely loves you, it don't fall on deaf ears because you feel every bit of it. It is like that big present under the tree when you was 4 years old. And sure, the bow and the box had you curious, but it was the gift inside that made the memories you are the gift. And speaking of gifts, why are you deliberately sabotaging your natural talents and gifts? Why are you doing it? Because your girlfriend say, oh, don't do that, but I'm going to show you how to bust it open. And she was your friend. Why did she even entertain that? See, that's the thing right now. What's been going on for the last 7 years, there's been a campaign to turn the good girl bad. So you can't do that. They ain't going to be checking for you. You don't want nobody to come checking for you. You want somebody to claim you. Doesn't matter how big his wood is. Because if love ain't connected to it, you get none. And for somebody, this is for you. Continue to pray. And don't take your prayers lightly. When you open up your heart, you do get the sight unseen. You do. See, let me tell you something. I'm not going to go too much in my bag. But I'm going to tell you this, though. I remember one time there was a person I gave my heart to. And I loved them more than I loved me. And I don't take me for granted. Because just like you, you've gone through some things. You've had some hard times. Maybe financially, emotionally, socially. But because I was not going to compromise my faith, the power of God's love, everything that I needed to know, he showed me. This is what synchronicity and serendipity is all about. You got a lot of people don't believe that, but that's okay. That's okay, because just look at it like this. You woke up this morning. You had no control of that. You have angels over you when you sleep. You have angels in front of you and around you when you are in your deepest fear too. You remember that thing you got hemmed up on? Who am I talking to? You thought you'd never get out of it, and then all of a sudden, you were given the opportunity to walk. And you're like, well, how is that possible? How? Because God was there the whole time saying, even though they turned their back on you, I'll never turn my back on you because I created you. Who am I talking to? So when you think about it, we are really cheating ourselves. We are delaying our destinies because we're not investing in it. But I know that's easier said than done because I know some of y'all got some emotional scars about some things that people have done to you. You know what betrayal is all about. Now here's the part that you're not going to like. Even though that was part of your spiritual evolution, the first person that betrayed you was you. The moment when you decided to put your hope, the essence of you, to the side, to compromise, just to have something physical or someone in that moment, only to see the outcome not turn the way that you expected, that was your validation. Can you believe there are actually people that believe that they are unlovable? They are not worthy of love? You know why? Because you ain't loving you. You're focusing on the wrong things. You think that love is physical. Well, Gerald, if I don't get that, I feel a certain kind of way. Let me clarify something to you. If you do the work, because see, the you that you're destined to be is blessed. They're in the future. They're there. And I'm saying that metaphorically. So your physical self has to evolve through the process to get there. In other words, if you envision yourself as, say, the college graduate, you envision yourself holding your diploma. Does it surprise you the anguish you feel if you have never enrolled? That is that spiritual connection of who you really are compared to who you are destined to be. The frustration in that is what's keeping you standing still. And see, some people, listen, why do you think people say birds of a feather flock together? They flock together because they have no direction individually. And that's why misery loves company. You've been loyal in this friendship bond with this person. But it seems like the only thing that's changed is time. They still doing the same thing they were doing when you first heard the first hello. That's not your story. That's not your narrative. But they want you to believe that. How many times you got to argue with this person what they need to do? The outcome doesn't change. I mean, I'm not making light of it. I'm just being honest with you. This is for somebody. You've been telling them to do the same thing over and over and over again. But it still ain't hit home yet. Perhaps because that wasn't where you were supposed to be the first time. Maybe that was not your home. That's what a thief does. Their greatest achievement or their greatest theft is your time. That's why you hear people say, if you lie, you'll steal. If you steal, you'll cheat. Because there is a trinity in that. But you know what the validation is? Pain. Hold that thought. Maybe that's the reason why you can't get them on the cell phone. Oh, I'm there. I'm there. They ain't there. They're where they want to be at. Because if they wanted to be with you, you wouldn't have to call them. They can tell you on the minute what the new what the what the latest lowdown is, but they can't tell you one thing that they did. Don't you see the distractions there? And if they're not willing to share the truth with you, you know they ain't gonna pray with you. So don't you think that's why you are divided? Then you hear people say, well, you know what? I'm good. I'm good. They just ran the course. No, I ain't ran no nothing. What course? You telling me your emotions based off of like a marathon course? That's why you keep seeing the same type of behavior? Huh? Maybe that ain't the track you were supposed to be on to begin with. You see it at your job. They just mad. Got everything to complain about, but don't have one solution. Who am I talking to? They're quick to show you what disrespect is, but you have to hold your breath for honor. And guess what? They have no problem wasting your time because they don't have a loyalty to themselves. But they got yours. So does it surprise you when you see them again? They look like they've been drugged. Physically, something like their life then been through a washing machine, spent cycle 4 or 5 times, and they hung up the drying like, well, I've got this going on, and you know, I done been there. I know. And the commonality is that you still do not know what is required to love you. Doesn't matter if he fell out of a magazine. He will not be your forever. That's why you see people getting married all the time. They get married and divorced like they buy shoes. They're like, well, darn, he's got everything to bring to the table, but he can't keep them. Can't keep them because he can't keep himself. We are what we attract. You got to understand that your environment is made up of what's inside your spirit. And how you relate to it is what makes your reality. You saying to yourself, well, I'm tired of being a pincushion. We don't even sit up and watch a movie, but he's quick to jump on me. He got you feeling like you're a bowling ball. He doing everything to you except claiming. Oh, there's no conversation in regards to that. And every time you try to bring it up, oh, he changes, he puts you on mute. He changes the channel of the environment. Women do it too. Well, I'm not ready. I'm not ready. You know, I got options. Some will be bold enough to tell you, I got options. And fellas, let me tell you something. Until you make a decision to have that conversation with yourself, you can't have that conversation with God. Because some truth is going to come out of that. Who am I talking to? That's why it doesn't benefit you to run. Men don't run. We deal with it head on. But we place God first in everything we do. I'm not going to sit up here and say that the bruises won't come. You might even have to spill a little blood. But what's at stake is your name. That blessed last name. Well, seed. And I understand because society has taught us as men to sow your oats, bro. Turn up. She want to bust it open, bust her back. Till the STD comes. You notice when people get STDs, they never claim it. It's always, he did it, she did it. Not, I did it to myself. And then unfortunately, you'll see him on paternity court or Maury Povich, just to serve the example of what not to do. That's why I love you, Queen. Because the truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter what he brings to the table. It will not be powerful enough to open up your temple walls. Who am I talking to? But I can flip this real quick because this is for the prayer warriors. Stay prayed up. The reward is sight unseen. Yes, you know them dreams you having? Some of y'all are having premonitions. Don't be afraid of it. We only use 6% of our brain. But you are great. They can't define it until you have to reveal it. And you can't do that if you are still got Charlie on your back, still traumatized what Larry did, still deflecting what them dudes did to you. Why? Because they made you feel a certain kind of way. Imagine what the one can do when he has your heart. He won't betray you. He will validate the exception to the rule. That's your life. But only you can claim that. So that's why you hear people say, well, you know, God said it best. Do not live of the world. Because the devil's work is never done. And he's going to tempt you. All those desires that you have, first of all, let's put ownership there. You didn't have those desires. You were taught to have those desires. They covertly manipulated you to think that's who you are. That ain't who you are. Because if that was who you are, why are you running from the shame? And you've actually had a lot of people out here. I'm gonna bring this home that have put a lot of cliches out there and say, well, you know what? To get over someone, you got to get under someone. But guess what? If you love them, you get out of their way. Get out of their way. For one, spiritually, you can't stop nobody from doing what they want to do because it's free will. So if she wants to treat her body like a bookmark and allow the next guy to come, guess what? She's got to deal with the recourse of that. If anything, that should tell you she was not worthy to inherit your last name. But I know that might be putting the cart before the horse, because you may say, well, that's easy said and done, Gerald, because I got a baby by her. Don't let the baby pay for your pride. It'll be painful, but that shows you how strong you are all along. Do not claim her behavior. Queens, do not embrace his behavior. You can't teach him to be a man. Only a man can teach a boy to become a man. That's why it does not serve you to think this. Oh, I'll build me a man. Yep, I can just go ahead and prance him around my girlfriends to leave you broken and in pieces, because he's going to leave you. And you're foolish if you think, well, what do you mean? He's going to leave me for a white girl? No, it doesn't matter if she was blue. Doesn't matter. Like-minded attracts like-minded. Whatever's found in your spirit, it will be attracted. Doesn't matter how good you can keep a secret, which secrets only end up becoming your pain anyway, because it comes out. And the funny thing about it is, the intended secret to the intended person, they already know. That's why a lot of people, you see this. One person is worldly. One person is spiritual. And it's like oil and vinegar. And those looking from the outside in, like, why are they together? Pride. Why are you going to put yourself in an environment that there's no love? And where there is no love, there is no growth. Nothing but denial. And denial attracts fear. And fear attracts impulse behaviors. And it also opens a spiritual door for them demons to come in to try to ransack your life. You see this too. Sometimes you weren't the target. Maybe the target all along was your children. There's no greater pain for a parent than watch their child in pain. They can't do nothing about it. That's why it's very, very important. If you think for 1 second that your children do not know what's going on, regardless of the age, I say this out of love to you, you're a fool. Did you hear me? You are fooling yourself. And guess what? When the age becomes appropriate, and I'm not talking about the age of the calendar, I'm talking the age of the mind. When the appropriate time comes, that were instilled by your behavior, they are manifested through your children, your lineage. They are walking, talking you. I wouldn't wish that on nobody. That's why, we can laugh about it now. When Chris Rock made the comment, said the guy can be a deadbeat all he wants, but his only his sole responsibility, if he has a daughter, is to keep her off the pole. People don't like that. It's the truth. Because you don't wake up one morning and say, you know what? I want to be a Jezebel. Don't happen. You don't wake up one morning and say, you know what? I want to be a dope fiend. Don't happen. You don't wake up one morning and say, you know what? I think I'm going to blow somebody's brains out. Don't happen. Just like, what else does not happen? It doesn't. You don't wake up one morning and say, I don't love me. Who am I talking to? That's why I told you, queens, stop looking for men. Prepare for him. But your girlfriend's going to say, no, get with that sugar daddy. He keep your bills straight. Until he uses you up. Until he has you sore and split open. You know what I'm talking about. That's why you don't use the term never say never. Because you know what it feels like to be a bowling ball now, don't you? And you also know that if you get out of line, you know what he's going to do to you too. I highly recommend you better start praying. You need to put a voice behind your pain. You need to ask forgiveness for your secrets, because your secrets is what progressively got you to where you are. Let me put another picture to that. Remember when you were little and you saw that kid and their parents was like, they gave him everything he wanted. And he ain't appreciate nothing. And as he got older, so did his ego, only to be cut down, only to be tragically made an example of. Who's paying the price for that? His family. In a town near you, in a city near you, in a state near you, there is a cemetery near you. There are plenty of people who ain't supposed to be there. As long as you put a price tag, as long as you keep believing, well, as long as I got these, I'm good. As long as I got this horse, queens, you know they laughing at you? Do you realize that? Because they see how shallow you've evolved and they are calling you cattle. Where do you think the term heifer came from? Look at a cow's backside, it's pretty thick. And they're making commercials about it. They're laughing right in front of you, all the way to the bank. They say, don't worry about them. Don't worry about her. We'll get another puppet. We like Lay's potato chip. When she act up, we'll have another one. We make more. Because they also know that there's a little girl that's impressionable with diamonds in her eyes saying, I want to be just like you. Ain't no different than that little boy looking at the dope man, looking at the pimp. But you will never see him looking at that convict. You will never see that. So ask yourself this before you turn around and take your next stand about why people ain't this and why ain't people that. Why don't you look yourself in the mirror and say, why ain't I this? Why am I not doing that? The next time you want to point your fingers. Because every time you point a finger, you got four pointing right back. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Oh, I'm going to do my thing. And when God tells me to, I will obey. But don't think for 1 second I dance to anybody's tune unless your name is God. Be blessed.